Students who've had sex with their teachers, at what point did your relationship turn physical? How do you feel about it now? Well, I was 17 at the time, not sure how old she was, but I would guess early 30s. I always found her attractive, but I didn't really think much of it since I never expected anything to happen. I would assume most people wouldn't think anything is going to happen. Students were assigned a guidance counselor for academic questions, and the psychological counselor was in another spot in the school. She was the academic counselor, so occasionally I would go down there and ask whatever it was I needed to know. I'm not very organized, so I'm sure I went down there a few times a year. After a while I would visit just to say hello because she was friendly and I was a 17-year-old who got the attention of an attractive woman, so come on, gimme a break here. Anyway, I go down there one afternoon and say hello and chat a little, and after a while she asked me how my dating life is going. Well, to be honest, not very well. I'm a quiet guy, not shy but quiet, and I'm just not confident enough as a person yet to really get myself out there. So we talk a little more about dating and why I don't do it, and I go off to class. This goes on for a while, talking to each other about mildly personal things, until one afternoon I go to visit and she asked me what I would assume is the question that changed things. How come you have so much time to visit me? I would stay at least a half hour each time. I don't know why she didn't ask this earlier, but I didn't want to say anything because she was kind of the only friend I had. I don't think she saw it that way, but I did. And I simply said, I like visiting you, so I make time. We sat and talked for over an hour that afternoon. A few weeks go by and I'm walking home as a car pulls up nearby and she gives a little honk and waves. But not the kind of wave like the wave you'd give to a friend or a co-worker or whatever. It was a flirty wave, but of course at the time I didn't consider it flirty because that was fucking insane to me. Several more weeks pass and I spot her car, waiting for me now across the street. I wave and start walking, but she leans her head out the window and asks if I need a lift. I say sure, why not? We begin to drive and she says I just need to drop some things off at my apartment, is that okay? My 17-year-old penis is having a fit, but my brain is saying don't be ridiculous. That is a fantasy and you know reality is different. She's just giving you a lift, so shut the fuck up. I was wrong. We get to her apartment and she says I can wait on the couch. She comes back from some room, sits down, and she starts telling me about how she hasn't been with anyone for over a year and it's affecting her job because she can't concentrate. I say nothing, frozen in hormonal fear. She looks at me in a way I've never seen her do, puts her hand on my leg and says, you know, out of all the students I talk to, I'm the most comfortable with you. She puts her hand on the back of my head, while this entire time I'm frozen. I don't know what to do, what to say, nothing. She tells me to relax, grabs my hand, leads me to her bedroom, and well, the rest is history. Fellow men of Reddit, What are some things women have no idea we do? Our penises touch the inside of the toilet. It's called the witch's kiss. Not to be confused with Poseidon's kiss, where the bowl splash gets your butthole. Sex workers of Reddit, have you ever fallen in love with a John? What happened afterwards? Not the SW, but the partner of one. I was going through a stressful time in my life and things weren't working out the way I had hoped. I was single and was always making time for other people and never felt like I was getting what I wanted in life. I knew nothing about sex workers at the time, and had never seen one before. I did some research for about a month or so and came across this girl's ad. She seemed legit and from what I could see in her pictures, rather attractive. I booked her and was beyond nervous scared leading up to the appointment. When the day came I went over and the cutest girl ever opened the door and welcomed me in. We talked about ourselves pretty much the entire night. I had only intended for this to be a one-time deal since it's so expensive, lol. But, I decided to see her a few more times. I noticed she started letting me overstay my appointment time more each visit and I started getting suspicious. I didn't know if this was normal, or if she was into me. I liked her a lot, but I figured this was her job and she probably just wanted to keep me, a steady income, around. She started doing other favors like making me dinner and my mind started going crazy and had to know what was going on. So I confessed that I liked her and hoped that was okay, and asked her to clarify what she had been doing, and what it meant. Turns out she totally had feelings for me. We decided to date and now we're getting married. A gun is being pointed at you, tell the funniest joke and you are free to go. What is the best joke you have? A squirrel is living in a pine tree. One day he feels it shaking, looks down, and sees an elephant climbing the tree. The squirrel asks, "What are you doing climbing my tree?" "Well, I'm coming up here to eat some pears," says the elephant. "You idiot, this is a pine tree, there are no pears." "Well, I brought my own pears." A gun is being pointed at you, tell the funniest joke and you are free to go. What is the best joke you have? Three guys are hiking through the woods when they find a lamp. One of them picks it up, rubs it, and out pops a genie. It booms, "You have finally freed me after all these years, so I'll grant each one of you 3 wishes. The first guy immediately blurts out, "I want $1 billion. Poof, he's holding a printout that shows his account balance is now in fact 1,003,50. The second man thinks for a bit, then says, "I want to be the richest man alive." Poof, he's holding papers showing his net worth is now well over 100 billion. The third guy thinks even longer about his wish, then says I want my left arm to rotate clockwise for the rest of my life. Poof, his arm starts rotating. The genie tells them it's time for their second wish. First guy says, I want to be married to the most beautiful woman on earth. Poof, a stunning beauty wraps herself around his arm. Second guy says I want to be good looking and charismatic, so I can have every girl I want. Poof, his looks change and the first guy's wife immediately starts flirting with him. Third guy says I want my right arm to rotate counterclockwise until I die. Poof, now both his arms are rotating, in opposite directions. The genie tells them to think very carefully about their third wish. First guy does, and after a while says I never want to become sick or injured, I want to stay healthy until I die. Poof, his complexion improves, his acne is gone and his knees don't bother him anymore. Second guy says I never want to grow old. I want to stay 29 forever. Poof, he looks younger already. Third guy smiles triumphantly and says my last wish is for my head to nod back and forth. Poof, he's now nodding his head and still flailing his arms around. The genie wishes them good luck, disappears, and the men soon go their separate ways. Many years later they meet again and chat about how things have been going. First guy is ecstatic, I've invested the money and multiplied it many times over, so me and my family will be among the richest of the rich pretty much forever. My wife is a freak in the sheets, and I've never gotten so much as a cold in all these years. Second guy smiles and says well, I built charities worldwide with a fraction of my wealth, I'm still the richest guy alive and also revered for my good deeds. I haven't aged a day since we last met, and yes, your wife is pretty wild in bed. Third guy walks in, flailing his arms around and nodding his head, and says, guys, I think I fucked up.
And then she kissed my face, yeah. I'm falling.